Ever notice how some retirees keep building wealth, while others struggle just to get by? After working with hundreds of successful retirees, I've learned it's not how much you save or invest. It's actually the 5 assets you never buy. So in this video, I'll show you the 5 costly assets rich retirees avoid, and exactly how steering clear can save you from losing thousands or having to cut back on your dreams. The first asset rich retirees avoid is one that sounds like a great idea, until it isn't: an investment property. On paper, it looks like a dream. Passive income rolling in, renters paying the mortgage, and you, retired, enjoying your morning coffee while your money does the work. But in reality, it's rarely that simple. I worked with a couple who bought a property in Florida just before retirement. They still had a mortgage back home, but figured the rent would cover everything. They even hired a manager to make it hands-off. Then a storm hit. The inside of the property flooded and the roof was damaged. But with so many claims in the area, contractors were backed up for months. They couldn't even get someone to look at the property for weeks, let alone fix it. All of a sudden, they had no income coming in while the mortgage and new repair bills kept stacking up. And because they lived states away, everything took longer. Insurance only covered part of the damage, and they spent weeks on the phone trying to manage the chaos from afar. After taxes, repairs, and management fees, what was supposed to be passive income became a passive drain. That's the truth about an investment property. Unless you've done it before, it's not a source of freedom. It's another job. So what do rich retirees do instead? They focus on income that actually runs in the background, like dividends from high-quality ETFs or fixed income investments. No tenants, no 3 a.m. plumbing emergencies, just predictable income. Because real retirement isn't about chasing rent checks or fixing water damage. It's about enjoying the time you've earned. And it's not just investment properties that can become burdens in retirement. The second asset rich retirees avoid is something far more personal and often harder to recognize. One client had been collecting classic cars for years, not high-end showpieces, just the ones he loved restoring and occasionally showing off. It started with 1 or 2, but by retirement, he had 5 parked in the garage. Retirement was supposed to be the time he could finally enjoy them. But a few months in, reality looked different. Between traveling, helping the grandkids, and picking up new hobbies, the cars mostly sat under the covers. One day, while reviewing their budget, his wife slid a printout across the table. Nearly $1,000 a month between storage, insurance, and other costs. She smiled and said, "You know, it's costing us a couple grand every time you drive one of those." At first, he pushed back, but after another year of collecting dust, he knew she was right. He decided to keep one, the one with real sentimental value, the one he actually drove, and sold the rest. With the collection gone, he felt lighter, more time and money, less stress. And that's what wealthy retirees understand. Retirement isn't about holding on to the past. It's about building new memories with the time and freedom you have now. He didn't stop loving cars. He just stopped managing a collection he didn't need. He went from being a collector back to being an enthusiast again. If you're holding on to things just because they're part of your past, ask yourself, are they giving you freedom or just taking up space? And for some retirees, it's not cars or toys that are their most expensive burden. It's something that's often thought to be your best investment. Let's talk about one of the biggest assets many retirees hold: the home they've lived in for decades. For years, the dream was the big family house. 4 bedrooms, a backyard for the kids, space for family visits. And for a long time, it was perfect. But as retirement approaches, that dream can quietly turn into something else. I worked with a couple in this exact spot. They loved their house, but over time, more and more rooms sat empty. They were spending over $15,000 a year just to keep it running. Utilities, taxes, repairs, weekends went to yard work instead of rest. What once felt like a dream had become a part-time job. And like many retirees, nearly $600,000 of their wealth was locked inside those walls. It wasn't gone, but it was inaccessible. They couldn't use it for travel, new experiences, or to ease the pressure on their income unless they made a change. Eventually, they downsized, not because they had to, but because it gave them more of what they valued now. A smaller place meant lower expenses, less upkeep, and more freedom. They used part of the equity to create extra income and set aside some for travel and their grandkids. The new house wasn't just smaller, it fit their life better. Now, to be clear, this isn't the right move for everyone. If your home still suits your life, that's a wonderful thing. But if it's starting to feel like more than you need or less aligned with how you want to live today, it may be worth a fresh look. Retirement isn't just about letting go. It's about making room for what comes next. Sometimes, adjusting your space can help you do exactly that. While lifestyle decisions can drain wealth, some of the worst traps come from financial products that sound smart but cost the most. And that's the fourth asset rich retirees avoid: complex, high-fee investments. Imagine walking into a store just wanting a simple watch, but the salesperson dazzles you with one that tracks your heart rate, syncs with your phone, and comes with a long list of features you never asked for. You walk out with a $1,200 gadget, but here's the problem. You never use any of those extra features. That happens in retirement investing all the time. We worked with a woman whose Social Security and pension already covered her lifestyle. Her real goal? Leaving a legacy for her son. But instead, she was sold a complex annuity filled with guarantees, riders, and restrictions. Features that sounded impressive, but didn't match what she actually needed. The result was thousands in hidden fees, penalties if she needed access to her money, and restrictions that made her feel trapped. She paid more for features she'd never use. And it's not just annuities. I've seen people stuck in whole life insurance policies they don't need, mutual funds charging over 1% annually, and private equity investments that send complicated K-1s every spring. Wealthy retirees know this trap, and they avoid it. They stick to simple, low-cost investments they understand. Index funds, diversified portfolios, easy access, low stress. Retirement is complicated enough. Your money shouldn't be. So before you invest, ask yourself, am I paying extra for features I'll never use? If the answer is yes, it might be time to simplify. Now, this last point might upset some people, especially if you've heard from Dave Ramsey or a family member that the goal is to retire completely debt-free. But the fifth thing that wealthy retirees avoid is paying off the mortgage early. For many retirees, paying off the mortgage feels like the ultimate win. No more monthly bill, no more debt. But here's the problem. What feels like freedom can backfire in ways you don't expect. Let me show you what I mean. A client of ours had this exact dream. The day he retired, he pulled $600,000 out of his retirement accounts to pay off a 2.5% mortgage. Emotionally, it felt amazing. The house was his, free and clear. But the very next month, 2 surprise expenses popped up. And suddenly, decades of disciplined saving were locked away inside the walls of his home. He was house rich, but cash poor. And here's where it got worse. Because he drained so much from his accounts, his withdrawal rate skyrocketed. Every future spending decision felt risky. Vacations, gifts, even basic repairs. And that's the hidden cost of paying off a large mortgage in one shot. It's not just the lost liquidity. It's the anxiety that comes from watching your portfolio shrink and feeling like you can't touch what's left. Now, if you're paying off the last few $1,000s on your home and it won't impact your cash flow, sure, that might make sense. But when you pull hundreds of thousands of dollars from your most flexible assets just to feel debt-free, you're giving up the very thing you'll need most in retirement: options. Wealthy retirees know the goal isn't just to own your home. It's to own your future. And that means keeping your money accessible so you can pivot when life throws you a curveball. So now you know the 5 assets wealthy retirees avoid. The ones that look safe or exciting, but end up quietly draining your retirement. But here's the thing. Even if you avoid these traps, most retirees still struggle with spending. They've saved for decades, but when retirement comes, the lies they believe about spending hold them back, and create constant worry about running out of money. That's why I made this next video. Watch it now to learn the biggest spending lies retirees fall for and how to break free of them so you can actually enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard for.